We are in conversation with Dr. Saurabh Garg, Secretary MOSPI of Ministry of Statistics. His name needs no introduction. Sir is a very senior bureaucrat and at the moment, man of the moment, in the sense that he'll be in charge of all those base year revisions that we have been talking about for quite some time. Sir, thank you so much for giving time to CNBC-TV18. A pleasure always.
Thank you.
Thank you. So starting off first, if you could apprise us with what's the latest in terms of the base year revisions, national accounts, IIP, CPI.
So we have been working on the base revisions over the past 1 year, and all of them are on track, and we hope to release each of them with a new base year in early 2026. The GDP accounts with the base year of 22-23 would be released in the end of February, 26. The price, the CPI, the price inflation index, that will be with the base of 2024. That's when we have collected all the prices, and that will be released for the month of January. It will get released on the 12th of February. So, but from January onwards, the new series would be in operation. And the index for industrial production, that too would be with the base year of 22-23. That would be released for the month of April 26. It will get released in May 26. So by early next year, we will have all the three base revisions done. Number of expert committees are working on different issues with them, and right now, around the clock, that work is going on.
Absolutely. So could you just share with us as to some of those recommendations or some of that conversation which is ongoing right now, and some part of that long-term vision that we're talking about. Also would like to ask you that, are we looking at a 5-year time frame in terms of the next base year revision for our national accounts at least?
So the kind of back work that is required for each of them varies. In the GDP, for example, there are methodological changes in terms of what is the kind of new and alternate data that is available. Some of the important changes since the last base revision, which was slightly over a decade back, is the fact that now we have GST data available with us.
Absolutely.
So that will help us to give a much more granular idea of the economy, and it will get reflected appropriately in the GDP calculations. Apart from that, we have other digital data now available. For example, we have e-Vahan data. We have payments data, which will also get appropriately reflected. So these, and apart from that, the coverage of the economy would also increase, because a lot of the digital economy has only come up over the past 10 years. So the national accounts and the GDP numbers would reflect these changes, and that's the work that is going on presently. Coming to CPI, again, you have e-commerce data now available, so we would be tapping into that, because a lot of people are purchasing through e-commerce, and
so that's going to be part of your basket as well.
That will be part of the. In fact, the basket size itself will increase, because we did the household consumption expenditure surveys back to back. We did in 22-23 and 23-24.
Absolutely.
So the consumption basket has changed, and that change will get reflected in the CPI. Food has obviously, the proportion of food has fallen. Non-food has increased, travel has increased, conveyances has increased. So those kind of changes will get reflected. Also, the number of items that we are covering will be more. We had 299 items in the previous basket. The present one will, I can't give the exact number, but it will be having more than 350 at least. So the coverage would increase, the type of data that we have will improve. And even right now, we bring out the CPI within 12 days of the end of the month,
yes,
which is globally among the fastest. And we will continue that, so that there will be no change.
Okay.
Coming to IIP, we have the structure of the economy has changed. In fact, along with the IIP, we are doing one other activity, is revamping the National Industrial Classification, which was last updated in 2008. So that is parallelly going on. That does not impact the IIP work, but the fact remains that that itself will also increase the number of sectors that we have. So the number of sectors that we are covering in the IIP would get expanded. We have some more extra data, for example, minor minerals, we were not covering in detail. Now we are getting that data from the state governments. We will be doing that. We anyway have reduced the timeline from 42 days to 28 days. So we will continue. It will remain around that a month or so.
Okay.
So, the data sources that we have, now that we have a lot more data sources than were there, so that will get reflected. So I would say in all the three, whether it's the national accounts, whether it's the consumer price inflation or the index for industrial production, the coverage will deepen. There will be more granularity available because of data sources. The frequency of many of those data sets that we get has improved. So that will get reflected in all these three indices. And I'm sure they would give a much better reflection of the macroeconomic status of the economy. And that's the objective with every base year, that it gives a better picture of the economy.
Right. So also the earlier question that I had asked was that the revision, the next base year revision, are we looking at any kind of a time frame?
Yeah. So obviously we would not like the time frame to be too long, and definitely not of the present. And for that, it requires a lot of back work, and that back work we have to do. For example, now we have an annual, we always had an annual survey of industries. We also have an annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises. So that gives us that granularity. We have the periodic labor force survey, which is required for the national accounts, which we, so now, in fact, we now bringing it out on a monthly basis. So we have greater granularity in that. From next year, we would start a new survey, the annual survey of service sector enterprises. So that will also inform these indices. And more importantly, we've taken a decision when we released the last household consumption expenditure survey, that instead of 5 years, we will do it every 3 years. And HCES is the basis for the CPI.
Absolutely.
So not that we will be revising the CPI in 3 years, but we will have the ability to do it much faster. So we have a number of surveys which are anyway annual, the frequency has increased. We have some surveys which are at 3-year intervals. Our objective is to, as far as possible, not have any of the important flagship surveys, not have more than a 5-year duration between two such surveys. In fact, next year we would also be doing the All India Debt and Investment Survey, which we did in 2019, so about 5 years later. So, but our objective is to ensure that none of the surveys which inform a lot of the macroeconomic aggregate data, it should not be more than 5 years. Whether we can reduce it below that would depend on a number of other factors, which we will take a call once we have decided. Once these data sets are out, then we will take a call on what is to be done for the next round.
Got it. So basically, your constituents, your inputs, that revision is going to be faster. Yes. Maybe not the base year as such. Yes. Maybe that will take its own time, or whatever time frame you finally decide. But no call has been taken on that. Sir.
No final decision has been taken.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir. So there is also a lot of curiosity, and you mentioned it that a lot of your CPI basket is now going to expand, 350 items. So give us a sense as to what may be in, what may be out, very broadly.
So obviously the items are based on what is the extent of consumption at the household level. So obviously those items which over the past decade or more have moved out of the consumption basket, that will move out. And those newer items and services which are now more frequently used will get included. Obviously a lot of the digital products have really come up over the past 10 years, so you can expect them to move into the basket.
So it will be capturing the, for instance, the sales that happen through like the Amazons and the Flipkarts and all of that.
We are also capturing the sales through e-commerce companies, yes. We will be capturing that.
Right.
Apart from, one is the products and the second is the source of the data. So the products would be updated keeping in view what the actual consumption is now. And obviously the source of data would also be based on where the households are actually purchasing. So if they are purchasing from brick and mortar stores, we would be having that. And so we are increasing the number of markets also that we are covering. So the number of markets would increase, the number of products would increase, and obviously the types of markets from where we are getting the data, that would also change.
So you rightly mentioned that the last household expenditure survey showed very clearly that probably the importance of food as a major expenditure item is probably coming down. What are the current levels that we are seeing this, and will this have a bearing in terms of your food inflation index within the CPI basket in the new series?
So I can't predict what the numbers would be, but all the weights would be, because our weights, in fact, we will get an indication if you just look at the household consumption survey, and that would be there. So there would be some drop. I don't want to give the exact numbers because the exact weights depend on a number of methods that are which will be transparently disclosed. I mean, there will be nothing which will not be disclosed. In fact, before the release, over the next 3 months, we will be having stakeholder consultations, and we would love economists, forecasters, academicians, researchers, and we will be sending out invites to them to come and discuss the methodology, so that if there are any suggestions, we would love to get those suggestions and incorporate them wherever possible.
Would you have time to do that last 3 months?
Yes, we will be doing that, and shortly we will be issuing the first notice. We are planning to do one in Mumbai. There will be one in Delhi and one more we would have. So in 3 different locations we would be doing it.
And when do you plan to start, sir?
Or probably either we will have the first one either end of October or early November, and then December, and then January we will have it. Yeah. So so therefore we were talking about the frequency, the methodology and the changes. So as I mentioned, the number of products will increase, and these are based on what the actual consumption is.
Okay. So also when you are calling for this stakeholder consultation, wide level, a wide audience, would you be sharing the methodology that the government has in mind for each of these indices?
See, before the release of the actual data, we will give an indication of the broad methodology. But it has always been the practice that once we release the data, we share the actual methodology also, because for us it's very important that everyone understands how we get to that data. And for us, credibility and faith of the system is extremely important, because whether it's an economist or a researcher or anyone who's a user of the data should have faith in that data. And it is in that step that we are having these stakeholder consultations. In fact, over the past year, we've had a number of such discussions. And we will continue that practice. And obviously, in case there are some issues that anyone would like to highlight, we bring out consultation papers also regularly.